Hi, welcome to a product review and tutorial by Robojax. In this video we are going to do the review and also test this EAZY VLC version 2.1, which is 2 independent programmable relay with display with 9,999 minutes time. Let's get started with this. I purchased this from AliExpress. This has been offered in different stores, and as you can see it shows $8.18, and unfortunately they do not mention the model. It's always the case with all these Chinese products. Rarely that you will see a model on the device, and then the stores never mention the model. It's just dual programmable relay control board, and here this is offered. And it's offered by this seller, $8.86 US, and also from this seller with this sign. Let's see, he called it 12-volt relay. I'll provide you the link. I have no affiliation with these stores. In many applications you need to control two different loads with different sequences of on and off, or trigger with voltage, and different situations, and each channel can be controlled independently, programmed independently, or with combined. For example, you can do program, for example, relay A to turn on for a certain time and turn off for a certain time, and also it can be looped with as many or unlimited loop that you can set this. Or you can program B to do the same thing, and then you can do also A and B combined in many ways. The module can operate with 12 volts, and when you connect 12 volts here, the positive and negative, we have STM8S003F3. This is a 5 volts regulator that supplies the power for the microcontroller, another chip for internal circuit. And then the 12 volt directly goes to these two relays. These two relays are 12 volts. But because this relay is 12 volts, this voltage must not go below 12 volts. Well, when the relay is not on, it consumes 7 milliampere at 12 volts. Each relay can be programmed to be triggered with a certain voltage. For example, you can set the voltage between 10 to 15 or 10.2 to 15.21, whatever range you want, upper limit and lower limit, and this will control the relay when the voltage is within that range. And this can be used for money charger, solar panel, and other or those type of applications, and it can detect between 0 to 99.99 volts. We have one LED for this relay. This is relay number 1A, and this is relay B. We have another LED for this one. This LED is on. This relay engages and makes a connection. We have 3 terminals here for each relay. This relay has 3 terminals. These 2 pins are normally closed, and these 2 are normally open. Connect your wires, 2 wires in this 2 terminal. If you want the normally open, when the relay energizes, it can connect your load, and the same way for the other one. And if you connect it here, when the relay engages, it will disconnect it for you. When there is no power or nothing, it will connect it for you. So I don't think you will need that. Perhaps you will be mostly using this one. And this drawing shows that this can be turned on and off. And at the moment, this is engaged on the other side. The rating for the relay is, to show you on the screen, is 10 ampere. And if you're in North America, then 10 times 120 will be 1,200 watts. And if you're in Europe and Asia, 220 times 10, 2.2 kilowatt load can be controlled with each relay. We have 3 buttons here: set, add, and then enter, which I will going to explain it. The microcontroller that is used is from ST Semiconductor, and it runs with 8 megahertz crystal oscillator, which makes it very stable and accurate in terms of time. Here we have 5 pins. These 2 pins are for power. You will connect your power at this 2 points. This is V1 or voltage 1 that can control relay 1, and this is V2. This is the common, this point is common for this and for this. So if you are connecting your battery or anything that you want the voltage to be read, for channel 1 you will connect the positive here, it has been labeled as V1 plus, and the negative you will connect it in here. For channel 2 the positive will be here and the negative again will be here. So we have one common negative for both. And as you can read here, this is a microcontroller STM8S003. Here is a data sheet for STM8S003 microcontroller that is used in this device. That's the chip that is used. I will provide you the link for this in case if you need further information. These pins seems to be connecting to the device. It's possible that these pins are for serial communication to program. To look at the data sheet, perhaps you will be able to find a way to reprogram it the way you want it. Length of the module is 107.7 millimeters. The width is 49.5 millimeters. The depth is 18.8 millimeters. This module has 5 programs, P1 to P5, and also there is P6, which is used to send the timeout of this LED display and also to do the factory reset. P1 will control channel A or relay A, and P2 will control channel B, this one. And then we have program 3. Program 3 combines A and B, the time that you set at P1, which is for this, and P2 for this, and at P3 you using both of this together. So it can run P1, whatever P1 was here, and then it can run the P2, and then you can weigh the time between these two when you move from A to B, from B to A. So that is P3. P4 can independently control A and B, and both of these can be on or off at the same time. And then we have P5. At P5 you will have voltage control, and here we have input for the voltages. The timeout happened and the screen is off, and if I press this it will turn it on. And here I've used this one for channel 1, and this is also a push button that I used it for channel 2. You see when I push it, it returns. So this is a push switch and this is a push button, and I've connected here, if you pay attention, this is the power supply, the plus, the minus. From minus I've connected to the negative, to other minus that you have. From this minus I've connected to this minus, and my push button, which is these two wires, I brought it from positive here to this V1. So this is for channel 1, which has been connected to V1, and if you pay attention to this one, the positive is coming from positive of power supply because I didn't want to bring another supply, and then connect it to V2 here. Now let's program the P1. To go to P1, press enter and hold it until you see P1. If not, and this is P2, now press it until you see P1. Once you see P1, exit. Now we will control channel A because this is P1. Press this once and this shows T1. We have 2 times for each relay, T1, T2. T1 you can set it as on or off. Using this button you can change it to off or on. Let's say we want to control this as on, as it is, and then T1 is on, and when you press this, this is the T1 on time, and when this is blinking you can change it to a value. For example, right now it says 4010 seconds. This is 4010 seconds. If you want it, let's say 10 seconds, make this 0. Now this is 10 seconds. To move it to the next one, press this set button, and again, and here you can change this, and here you can change this one. Seconds. If you want it in minute, this press and hold set for certain time, and you will see the dot blinks. When dot is here, this is now 10 minutes. And the same way, if you make this for other value, it will be the same. So we can go up to 9,999 minutes, and now it's 11 minutes. To change it back to second, press and hold it, and then release, Now it's 11 seconds. After this, this is T2 off. When we set T1 to on, T2 cannot be set to anything else because this is already set. If T1 is on, this cannot be something else other than off. And then the off time, we can set the time. Again, change any of those. Minutes, this is now second. For minutes, press this until you see the dot. And then move the cursor, move the blank. Let's make this 5 seconds. Oh, this is now 5 seconds. When I press this again, this is count or C. This is a loop. How many times you want this to be turned on and off. And the same way you can change it here. This means 102 times, which is very long. Let me set it back to 0. And move this blanking to the last one. So twice is good. And once you click it again, the screen is now solid. It means that this is ready. Now this can be stored with this push button. And remember, we go 11 seconds on, 5 seconds off, and then it will do twice. Let's check it and pay attention to the slide and also listen to the sound. 1, 2, and stop. We can do it also using enter. And if you have multiple counts, when I press this, you press this, this shows number of counts. Okay, let me set it to longer counts. And let's say I want to set it for 12 and exit. Now let's try it for the 12 counts. When I press this, just press this add button and you will see the counts. 3, 4, so it can go up to 12. So 12 times happened and stopped. One more thing about the program 1 and program 2, which are the same to remember, is that if I go here to P1, I'm at P1. On time, let's say on time is 9 and off time is 2 seconds. If you set on time and off time for 2 seconds, 0 means unlimited loop. It will never stop. I'm exiting. Now if I press this, 9 seconds on, 2 seconds off. So this will continuously do the same thing. If you go to P2, it will be the same. Now let's go for P2, program 2. Press this and hold it. This appears. Press the set. Now it's P2. Press enter again. Exit. Now we are controlling this one, and A cannot be controlled. And the switch for that one is this second push button that I have, a push switch. Press this and you will see off. Again, you can set it on and off. Let's set this off so we can see that T2 can be only on. And then the time is off. Let me change it to 8 seconds off, and then T2 is on. It cannot be changed. Only T1 can be changed, and T2 depends on T1. And this is now 10 seconds. Let's make it 5. So I make this 0. Let's make it 5 seconds on, and then the count. Let's make it 2. So this will repeat twice and exit. When I trigger it with the switch, initially it will go for the time off first and then on. Off and then on, off. So twice repeated. Or press this. So that was the same as the other one, channel 2. Now let's go for P3. P3 is combining A and B with the time that you set. Because I set this to 12, let's change it back to 2 counts or 3. I'm going to program 1. And enter. Let's change this to 3. and exit. Now let's go for P3. Now at P3 we can combine A and B. The time that we set at P1, the time that we set for P2 will be implemented with the addition of the time that you can move from A to B. We can set the time, let's say this will be executed and wait for 10 seconds or 10 minutes and then go to this, and then whatever was set at P2 will be executed and then go whatever time you want from B to A. Now let's press this to set it. Now here it says time A to B. So the time that whatever A was set at P1 will be executed, then after that go to this with this much time. And let's change it again, minute or second, the same as before. You can bring the dot and let's check this for 10 seconds. So it will be 10 seconds from A to B. If I press this, it goes here. If I press this now, B to A, we have set it to 5 seconds or 6 seconds, and then loop how many times? So 3 times. That's fine. Now this is AT. AT means the trigger type. When you set it at 0, it can be triggered using push button. When you set it at 1 using this, you have to hold and keep it, because with the 0 you just push and release, but 1 means press and hold, which I'm going to show you, and then 2 means it will be low trigger. Even there is no trigger, it will be on, and when you press it, it will be off. Let's go back to 0, exit. Now it's ready. Let's test it. First A, and then 10 seconds in here, whatever was set for B, and then goes here. This will happen 3 times. So whatever will loop, done, and then wait for 10, and then it comes to B. This will be 3 times, and then now this is the second time in here. We are here. Now this is the third time. This is done. It will never go here again when it comes. And stop. For P3, you cannot have P1 and P2 unlimited. If these are unlimited, which means C or count is 0, then when you go to P3, which is controlling between A and B, it cannot have unlimited, because if this one is P1 is unlimited, it will go and execute and will never come to this. For that reason, you must set P1 and P2 with some kind of C equal 1, 2, 3, whatever you want, and then at P3 it will work. Otherwise it will not work. So this was program 3. P4 means control A and B separately. Let's press this until we see 3, press it, go to 4. At this point we don't have any option, because once you go to P4, whatever was set at for channel A and channel B at P1 and P2 will be executed, and each can be triggered separately with these 2. Let me check this. For example, it will be executed, and if I do this, this will be executed, and you can see the time. The reason for that one is that you can set this and trigger, and if you want to see that the initial time for A or B, this is for A, and if you press this, it will go for B once you are only in P4. And as you can see, I can do it, and both of these can do the independently, and it will not interfere with the other one. Now let's go for P5. Press this. Now we are in P5. Exit. At P5, here it says A. The A is referring to this, which we can control A. If I press this, it goes to B. These 2 buttons, add and enter, will change the A to B. For trigger of the voltage, whatever voltage up to 99 volts can control this. When I am in A now, if I press this, Now it says high voltage. So for this, for each channel we can set upper limit and lower limit. This H mean higher, let's say this is 11.12, and if you want to change it, bring the blink like this. Now this is 71.2 volts, and this is now 1.2, and if I change it, this is 1.3. Low is 10.5, the same way you can change it. And now this is a correction. When you bring a long wire from somewhere else up to here from the device, there might be a drop between the source up to this, and you can add a correction of plus minus 5. If I press this now, it will add to the voltage that it receives, it adds 0.1, which means if it receives 10.5, this will treat it as 10.6. So you have to set it at 10.6 in order to work if you set the correction. And here after 5 you will see negative 5. This will subtract the value. Let me set it to 0. So now here we have A and then 2. It can have 0, 1, 2. When you set this to 0, when the voltage, the input voltage for channel A reaches above the upper limit, trigger, and when it goes below the lower limit, it now when you set this to 1, when it reaches below the lower limit and it reaches above the upper limit, this is the opposite of 0. And if you put it at 2, when it reaches above the upper limit, it will trigger, and even if the voltage goes below, it will not stop, and the timer will continuously do the job. Let's go to 0, and now we are here. If I press this now, we are at B. At B. For B, we can also set the same, upper, lower, and then A. Now this is at A. Once I press this, you will also see the input voltage. Let me press it. 11.4. As you can see, it is triggered, but as soon as the voltage dropped, when I disconnect the switch, it will turn off. In order for this to continue, the voltage must be above the upper limit. So it was twice or 3 times whatever was set at P1, it will be executed, and it stays like that. Now when you release it, it will not have any effect. The same thing for this one. Now let's set A at A0, A1. Now A1, every time the voltage is below that limit, it will turn on. You see, when I press it, it is off. It's above, it will not have any effect. When I release this, it will be triggered, because below the limit when it reaches. And from 0, whenever it is a little high from the lower limit, it will turn on. Let's go for A2. You just need a trigger, and even if you release it, once the voltage is above the limit, it will trigger, and all action of P1 will be executed, and the same for the other one. Now let's go for P6, press and hold. We're at P6, press this. This is the time, the display time. This is in minutes. After 2 minutes of this activity, that screen will turn off, and from here you can change it up to 9 minutes. Or 0. 0 means never turn off, 1 minute or 2, and that's it. And we can exit from here. If I go here back to 6, if I press and hold this, everything will be erased. Let me do it. All the settings that we have been resetted. You read this as RST, reset. Let's go to P1. Thank you for watching. This was how to use this 2-channel relay timer module. This is the only 2-channel relay module that is available in the market, and it can have a lot of application, including voltage trigger and charging, and also other applications combining with 2 different relays. If you learned something and if you found it useful, please thumb up. Please leave the notification on and subscribe so you can get updates of my upcoming videos.